slippery, and I think a lot of the players are going to lose their footing quite often in the game.
I think it's fair to say you feared the worst in terms of conditions here.
We did, but the last 2 days, last 48 hours have been pretty good. There's not been a lot of rain, and there's a nice drying wind out here, so I think we've been lucky with the gods today.
It's certainly an interesting experiment for all those people back at Central Park. Obviously disappointed not to be able to make the journey across the Pennines, but I'm sure they're going to be roaring on the big screen.
Well, I certainly hope so. When we thought about the big screen, we thought about the St Helens game. Obviously 5,000 spectators locked out, and probably the majority of them being Wigan fans, and we thought about the majority of fans that would like to come over to Batley and not be able to get tickets, so we thought, well, let's go for the big screen, look after the spectators, and make it an event. And you don't know what happens unless you try these things. You don't really know what the future holds for you. So at least he's given us some good experience. I just hope that we can get our money back. It's a major investment for the club, but we're looking after the spectators who've supported us through thick and thin.
Finally, you did say this is Batley's big day, and of course everybody wants to knock Wigan off the perch and be the ones to say we stopped their gallop.
Well, we've just been looking at a video on the way in from the Batley and St Helens game. Fortunately, the ground, even though it looks a little bit rough at the moment, is a lot better now than it was in the St Helens game. So I'm very happy that we have got the little fellow with the hat on, Mr. Sun out there. He's out there. I'm hoping for a good game, but obviously I think Batley will really come at us very hard, and it's going to be a tough game. We looked at that video, and they pulled no punches. They went in, really got fired up. So our lads will have to give it the best shot to get through. It's a fair old slope, but let's hope our ball is in the bag for the next round.
Enjoy the match.
Thank you, John. All the best to everybody at Central Park.
Jeff Gratian, player coach, of course, of Batley. A bit disappointed, I would think, with the weather.
Yes, I think Wigan's had another bit of luck. The weather, it hadn't rained last night, which it should have done, and it's dried up a lot, which is a very drying ground, is Batley.
The biggest day for most of your players that they've ever had?
Well, I would say it's the biggest day for all of my players. You know, it's a cup match, it's the fourth round of the cup, and it's the biggest club in the rugby league.
What's the biggest problem for you today?
Well, they've got a lot of paces, you know, and they train the full-time professionals. We're all part-time. We go to work and that, and they work together day in and day out. We train 3 times a week, and but we're going out there. You know, we're not a beaten side. They're at Batley. They won't like coming to Batley, and we're going to give 120%.
The bookmakers will say you don't have a prayer. What chance have you got?
Well, we have got a chance. That's a load of bunkum, is that we have got a prayer, because I've watched a few sides, you know. I've played in sides where we should have won going to Wembley, and I haven't been to Wembley. I've been to 5 semi-finals, and I should have gone. Bookmakers would put us odds on, and we lost. So it's like that last night, isn't it? Nigel Benn, he got knocked down in the first round, come back and won. So you never know what happens at this game. I
know you're 45 and 46 next week, Jeff. Is Grandad going to come on today?
Grandad will be coming on, whether it's early or whether it's late. If it happens, whether I can change the game when I come on, but I will be trying to. So I'll just buy my time and see how the game goes to start with.
Good luck, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
With me, Wigan coach Graham West and Frano Botica. Graham, your first reaction on arriving here today?
Well, it's a lot better than when I come over on Thursday. On Thursday it was all cut up, very wet, but they've rolled it since then, and the weather's turned out very well, so it's a lot better than I thought it would be.
So the gods are smiling on you so far?
At the moment they are.
It is a difficult game in many ways, because you're on a hiding to nothing, as people say.
Well, that's right. Batley are a very good side. They've got a very good half-back. Their forwards do a lot of good work, and they've got good backs, so overall they're a very good side, and we expect a tough game.
What's been the tenor of your team talk?
Well, we've just got to do things right. In the first game against Saints, we made too many mistakes. Our organisation wasn't as good as it should have been. And in the replay, we organised very well, we worked hard, and that's really what we've got to do today.
Frano, it's your first time at Mount Pleasant, a very different setting to Central Park.
It is actually. I've actually been here before. The conditions today are a lot better than it was then. And having a look at some of the games they've recently played, today's turned out quite well, so we're pretty pleased with it.
And I would imagine especially so as the goal kicker, because it can get very heavy, this pitch.
It can do, but luckily there's been a bit of sunshine, a bit of wind, which has dried out a little bit. I'm sure it'll still cut up a little bit, but we're pretty pleased with the way it looks.
Are these difficult games for the players? I mean, for St Helens, you obviously don't need any motivation, but for this one I suspect you would need a little bit more.
Well, once again, it comes down to Wembley at the end of the day and going back there, and I'm sure the players will will know how difficult this game will be and how important it is for ourselves and for the fans. So we'll be performing pretty well today, and we'll be coming out with a win.
Okay, best of luck to you. Graham, finally, do you have a message for all those fans watching back at Central Park?
Well, enjoy the day. We'll be trying very hard. We want to come out with a win. That's our main objective, and just be reassured that the players will give their uppermost, and I'll be doing the same.
Graham, thank you.
Thanks.
Dennis Betts, you've just had your first look at the pitch. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are quite positive, really. It's not as bad as we was expecting. We've watched a lot of footage on Batley over the last couple of weeks, and it's in a lot better nick than the videotapes we've been watching.
I'm sure you're taking a very professional outlook to this, and you've just been looking at end to end of the pitch.
Well, apparently it's 10 foot. There's a 10-foot drop from corner flag, from the corner flag in the top of the pitch to the corner flag at the bottom there on an angle. So it's a fair slope from one corner to the other. But it's not. But the pitch can't change the way the result's going to go today. I think it's just down to us being professional as we can and giving Batley a lot of respect, really, because their results show that they're playing well at the moment, and they've taken St Helens close in the last couple of games they played against them.
How big a problem is it when you don't really know the strength of the opposition?
It is a problem, and it isn't. It's more of a problem. Well, I won't say it is a problem, really, but they're going to play with a lot of enthusiasm. What we've got to be able to cope with today, we've got to be able to raise our game with a small crowd behind us, and also, like you say, a side that's in the second division. We've got to be able to say, this is a cup match, this is like playing St Helens, this is like us we've got to win today to get to Wembley, so we've got to be as professional as we can. And even though we don't really know a lot about their players, we know that they're going to be very enthusiastic, and they're playing against Wigan, and most sides that play against Wigan raise their game.
Thanks, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Andy Parker said, I told Batley we're playing for snow and wind and rain. It's too nice, this, isn't it?
Rain dance didn't work, did it? It's firmed out a lot. We're going to give it the best shot today, I think.
Do you think that this doesn't help your chances, though, in the sense that the weather's...
I don't know. We've had a couple of damp performances and they're not doing us any good, so obviously they've got all the pace, but if we keep going like, anything can happen in this cup game, one off. We're going to give it our best shot, simple as that.
I mean, it's the biggest game, isn't it, for most of you, this?
It is for us, yeah.
I mean, you play for Halifax, but is this the biggest game of your life?
Definitely the biggest game of my life, without a doubt.
What's the mood in the dressing room? Can you do it?
We're going to give it its best shot, like I said before. Just going to go for it. Who knows? Like I said, it's a one-off.
You're up against Kelvin Skerritt.
How much big is it, Mana?
We'll
see.
Good luck.
We'll see. Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, Inga, I think the message ought to be welcome to Batley.
Oh, definitely. It's an eye-opener. My cousin of Paul Fairley warned me about this field, but it's great to get it firsthand.
In actual fact, I think you've caught it on a very good day. It's a lot drier today than it normally is.
Yeah, well, I think the last 3 days have been pretty good, and it's a bit of wind and a bit of sun has given it a bit of firm surface for the players, and we just got to go out there and do what we have to do and do it to the best of our ability.
What's the preparation been like going into the game over the last couple of days?
Well, we certainly haven't gone out there with a relaxed attitude just because they're Batley, and I remember them playing early on against St Helens, and they drew and they played very, very well here. So when you got the home ground and the home advantage, it will definitely help Batley. But we've got the way we prepared it, we've just looked at it as another game, and we like to be seen as professional with a professional attitude to play under any circumstances, and today is no exception. We've just got to go out there and do it again.
Well, Joe, has that been a consideration in the preparation, the fact that St Helens came here just a few weeks ago and struggled, really?
Yeah, we watched the tape. We know how it's going to be. They play very well at home, especially if they're playing down the slope, so we know it's going to be a tough game, but hopefully we're prepared right.
Obviously, it's at the back of the players' minds. You get to this stage, of course, on the Challenge Cup trail and the Wembley trail. All the players are used to it. Any special buzz around Central Park?
I don't think it matters what round you're in. It's the final is at Wembley. Not everybody wants to be there. Every team you play against wants to go there as well. It does make it a little bit harder when you play on fields like this, when you're used to playing on much better surfaces. But this field we played 2 years ago against Dewsbury on the same ground, and the conditions were a lot worse. So I'm quite relieved looking at it that it's in the condition it's in.
Would there be an advantage in which direction you're going to play in the opening 40 minutes? Because there is a heavy slope on the pitch.
Yeah, I think if we had the choice, if Sean wins the toss, then we'll play up the hill the first half, because it's going to be tight for the first 40 minutes. hopefully in the second half we'll have the fitness and the luck and have a few points. But as I say, it all depends on who wins the toss of the coin.
Finally, any injury worries at all?
Not really. We've got a few players out like Andrew Farrell, but the rest of the squad's fit and ready to go, and let's just hope they can do the business.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So those are the views from the two camps. Welcome again to Mount Pleasant in all its glory. For all you fans back at Central Park, we're going to hope that you enjoy the afternoon. Second best, I know, in the sense that you'd rather be here, but the Wigan fans are there, as you see. Wigan rugby, simply the best. There's a crowd limit of 3,800 today, an all-ticket match, and not many of you in Wigan have probably seen that shot before of Mount Pleasant and Jack Dearden alongside. We are at top of hill here, aren't we, Jack?
We certainly are, John, but it's a beautiful day, and of course I think the Wigan spectators who've come over the Pennines in the numbers will enjoy the situation. The build-up's been great, Batley have done a great job. The pitch, everybody said it in the interviews, we were a bit surprised with the surface. It's very good. You can get a good hold on the footing, and it's going to be an excellent big occasion for Batley, of course, and hopefully Wigan will do the business.
Well, the sides have only ever met 5 times previously in the Rugby League Challenge Cup. Jack, were you there in 1910 when Wigan won 4-2?
I weren't there in 1910, John, but I was there at Watersheddings the last time Wigan were overturned in the Challenge Cup, and never to be forgotten night, of course, but certainly in the memory of the Oldham supporters and in the Wigan supporters. I think they've gone on since then and won 38 Challenge Cup ties. It's a marvellous record, but coming to a place like this afternoon, you have to say it's going to count for nothing. They've got to come here, they've got to get their act together. I'm sure the two Wigan wingers, Martin Offiah and Jason Robinson, they were out on the pitch before the game. I'm sure they will be delighted with the surface, particularly on the flanks, because there is a bit of grass out there, John.
That's it. Now you see the redevelopment going on here at Mount Pleasant. There will be a new stand by this time next season at the back of the sticks there, which border the cricket field, which is at the back at that end. Two youngsters there getting a bird's eye view. It's the biggest day in Batley's history recently, certainly. As I was saying, for old historians, the sides also met in the 1928-29 season when Wigan won 25-0. In 1950-51, again at Central Park, it was 16-8 to Wigan. I don't think it'll be that close today, but who knows. And in 1970-71, the only time Wigan have been here in the Challenge Cup, the Riverside has won by 13 points to 4. The last time these two sides met in the Challenge Cup was back in 1984-85, when Wigan won 46-8, and among their try scorers that day, Graham West, the current coach, and Sean Edwards.
Yes, but the thing about it is they were here a couple of seasons ago against Dewsbury in the Challenge Cup, Wigan, so they will be used to the ground and the surroundings, and they've got to quickly get used to that situation. The opening 10-15 minutes is going to be vital, and as Joe Lydon was saying in the interview previously, it could be crucial as well who wins the toss, because Batley, I'm sure, will be hoping to do that. They'll get their afternoon off to a good start, and that is going to be interesting to see what happens in the opening 20 minutes, because Wigan have got a habit. If you give them the opportunity to pile points on early in the game, then they will do just that. I'm sure they would like to do that today.
Jack, it was no lie when we said at the top that the Batley players arrived and were bitterly disappointed. They've been praying for snow as if anybody could. We've had enough sleet and everything in the last few weeks, but Jeff Gratian really was disappointed because Batley felt that any adverse weather conditions would really level things out for them.
It's always been a great leveller in cup ties right across the years, hasn't it? But Wigan will look at the surface this afternoon, and as we said previously, they've got to be delighted with this, and it's drying out even now as we speak. There's bright sunshine on the surface, not too much in where we are going to do the commentary from, right in front of the stand, because there's a shadow being cast there. It's going to be a little bit heavier, but I'm sure the backs in particular will be delighted with this, and I expect Wigan to use that facility to the full.
The beauty of the Challenge Cup, the Wigan fans again enjoying the sunshine of West Yorkshire. The beauty of the Challenge Cup is that in the last round, Batley really struggled to overcome the amateurs of Beverley. Only 2 late tries, getting them home 30 points to 20, while Wigan, of course, were having that momentous tussle with St Helens. And I know, Jack, you saw the replay, and that was as good a football as you've seen.
The opening 40 minutes at Knowsley Road just a couple of weeks ago was absolutely fabulous. I think any genuine, true Rugby League supporter would agree that quite simply Wigan were the best on that 40 minutes without question. It was great to do it for the Wigan supporters as well against St Helens. Big day as well, I've noticed, for John Gilfillan. He's in the Batley starting line-up in the centre position. Former Wigan player, of course, has since moved on and been to a couple of clubs, Salford included, but I'm sure he'll be delighted. And I just wonder what's going through the minds of the Batley players and what it's like in that dressing room at this moment in time.
Well, they'll soon be emerging. They actually come across the car park here at the back of the stand in which we are situated, and then they emerge down the tunnel, and when that happens you'll hear a terrific roar from the 3,800s. Remember, the gallant youths, as Batley are known, were the first winners of the Challenge Cup back in 1897. They won it again the next year, and they won it in 1901, so they reckon after 94 years they're due again.
They'll be due again. I don't think they're going to manage it this afternoon, because when you look at the Wigan starting lineup, no real major injury problems, of course. Andy Farrell is missing, and just look at the strength on the bench. Paul Aitchison, of patch as he's known around Central Park, he's been a great servant to the club, never lets them down. Scott Quinnell, another opportunity for him, John. I'm sure we'll see him at some stage in the game.
It's funny, during the week I was talking to a Batley supporter, and they were saying they'd heard a whisper that Wigan weren't going to turn out their regular first team. I said, you have got to be joking. That is really wishful thinking. And apart from Farrell, it is the best side that they could possibly field. Bearing in mind that Martin Dermott's recently had a brain scan, I understand, and he's not been at his best recently, so Martin Hall's in there on merit anyway.
Yeah, and he's done a terrific job this season, Martin Hall. He's waited fairly patiently in the wings at Central Park. Martin Dermott, a great player in his own right. Martin Hall has waited patiently, he's stepped into the breach, and he's never let Wigan down so far, and I'm sure that he'll be relishing the prospect. And just on that subject of the possibility, as you said, John, of Wigan maybe fielding a weakened starting lineup, believe you me, the word from Central Park is nobody wants to miss out on the trail to Wembley.
Absolutely, here they come. Wigan out first. The gentleman alongside me just checking the hooters are working. There's Phil Clark, takes his loose forward position, and it gives us a chance to run down the Wigan lineup for you, which is the one in the papers during the week announced by Graham West. So Henry Paul is wearing number 1 at fullback. 2 will be Jason Robinson, 3 Vaiga Tugamala, 4 Gary Connolly, 5 is Martin Ofaya, 6 Frano Botica, 7 is Sean Edwards, 8 Kelvin Skerrett, 9 Martin Hall, 10 Neil Cowie, 11 Dennis Betts, 12 is Mick Cassidy, and 13 Phil Clark, with Paul Atchison and Scott Quinnell on the bench. Well, there's a bit of a roar going up now because the Batley side is being announced. They're going to do an entry of the Gladiators for the local fans here. This is their Wembley, it's their cup final, and the chairman Stephen Ball is down on the pitch alongside today's mascot. There is Stephen Ball, Batley's chairman for some considerable time now, and I'm sure this is the day he has dreamt about in all that time. All chairmen like money coming into the coffers, and here they are, the gallant youths.
Great occasion, John, isn't it, really? And I have to say, looking round the ground and driving over the Pennines, coming to the ground, plenty of support for Wigan, but they're all coming here with a big smile on their face. I think they're going to join in the enterprise, and it is an enterprise this afternoon, and once again, of course, Wigan leading the way in rugby league, and he's leading the way with the hooter.
It's working. The Batley lineup is Darren Moxon at 1, former Bradford Northern player, 2 Gary Thornton, 3 that Wigan man that Jack was talking about, John Gilfillan, 4 Jimmy Irvin, 5 Steve Walker, 6 Simon Wilson, 7 the Australian scrum half, he will be the man to watch, Glenn Tomlinson, 8 Andy Parkinson, formerly of Halifax, 9 Mark Scott, who's passed a late fitness test on an ankle injury, 10 is Chris McWilliams, 11 Phil Murphin, 12 Darren Child, and 13 is Mick Cameron, with the 2 substitutes Graham Middleton and Jeff Gratian at 45. Referee is Colin Morris from Huddersfield. I say Jeff Gratian 45. If this match had been played next week, we'd have been saying 46.
It's a great occasion for him, isn't it, really? And I'm sure he's going to relish it as well.
Before the game, there is to be a minute's silence.
Thank you.
by Mr. Morris. Sean Edwards and Glenn Tomlinson will toss up for the right to choose ends. Now Joe Lydon was saying that if Wigan won the toss they'd come up the hill first, Jack.
Well, it's the first important decision to make, isn't it, really, going into this cup tie? It's going to be very interesting, just looking at the two mascots. Big day for the mascot as well, isn't it? And he's a big lad as well for his age, but it is an important decision to make, although obviously Batley will be hoping that Sean Edwards doesn't win the toss, and it's just going to be very interesting to see, because we're going to be set for an interesting 20 minutes, whatever happens.
There'll be a roar if Batley win the toss, and they'll certainly play up as well. I think they've won it. They have. Batley won the toss and they decide to play up the hill, which is exactly what Jeff Gratian and the fans wanted.
Well, he also wanted a muddy surface or a heavier pitch, because as we've said previously, that can be a great leveller in any game, particularly cup ties. They haven't got the heavy surface, but they have got the advantage of playing up the slope here. And the gallant youths are preparing now for the challenge of the cup holders Wigan. Great record, John. They're looking to go back to Wembley for an 8th consecutive time.
Wigan have won the cup 15 times, but of course this is the golden era. No question about it. They were last beaten at the Watersheddings in 1987. And for all you fans at Central Park, enjoy the next 80 minutes as Wigan seek to continue on that golden trail. And Sean Edwards kicks off down the hill here at Mount Pleasant. The early tackling will be keen, of that you can be sure. There's Andy Parkinson, the lad we were talking to before the match, spreading it across to Phil Murphin, formerly of Castleford, so he's an experienced player. McWilliams is one to watch out for. This is Darren Child, though, former Morley Rugby Union man. And here's McWilliams, one of the Australians, and a bit of a roar going up there, and he's still managed to get the ball away in the tackle. And here's a break for Batley coming up the hill. Parkinson again romping into the action, leading the way, and then it's going to be switched by Irvin Tomlinson's kick, and Wigan will get possession for the first time with Jason Robinson. Now I know, Jack, that Jeff Gratian is as worried about Jason Robinson as he is about Martin Afire.
I would certainly be worried about that coupling as well, John, if I was Jeff Gratian, because Jason Robinson, once he gets in his stride, and he doesn't need much space to do it, he's very, very quick from a standing start, but Batley will be encouraged by the start they've made, particularly going up the hill.
I won't tell you what Jeff Gratian called Jason Robinson, but it was something like a little whippet, with the odd adjective thrown in as well. Well, Beck's had his first tilt there, and now Cassidy right up to the halfway line. And this is the last tackle. Edwards will kick. A Gary Owen, as one commentator would say. Betts got a touch, and it's offside given against Kelvin Skerritt. He couldn't argue with that. Betts knocked the ball forward. Skerritt picked it up, and the decision had to be made.
The decision was right, but I was interested in the kick there from Sean Edwards. He put up a Gary Owen, or an up and under, if you like, John, rather than looking to kick into the space on the flanks. I thought that was of particular interest. It certainly almost caught out one of the two Batley players, and I thought that was an interesting tactic, an interesting kick from Edwards.
It was baffling, because I know part of the Batley strategy when they're coming down the hill is to kick into the corners, which is entirely opposite to that. Here they come again up the hill with McWilliams. Tomlinson, he's the one who pulls the strings, and Parkinson certainly made a very bright start. That's the hooker Scott, and a rather wild pass flung out there for Gary Thornton, who toe ends the ball into touch.
Pretty good moments for Batley in the early stages, but we are in the early stages, of course. The adrenaline will be flowing amongst their players, John, and they've got to keep up this effort for the total 80 minutes, because if they lose concentration momentarily, Wigan can really step on the gas and really take them apart.
That's what they'll try to do now as they heel from the scrum, and Henry Paul gets into the action for the first time. Score, of course, in the last round against St Helens. There goes Botica from acting half-back, looking lively. His eyes lit up when he saw the pitch. I think he fancies a few pots at goal today.
Right away across the back line, Wigan's players will be delighted with the surface, I'm sure, and as we've said, it still continued to dry out because the sun is on the pitch, and Jeff Gratian said before the game that it does dry out very quickly.
Hall, Edwards, this time it's the shorter ball, and Botica, good tackle on him this time from Simon Wilson. Gary Connolly, Edwards, and then Cassidy does hoist a different type of kick, and they've got to be sure here it's Moxon back behind his own sticks, and it has rolled dead, agonisingly, very slowly.
An indication, of course, of the slope, because on a normal pitch I'm sure that would have caused a problem for the fullback of Batley, but he knew the surface, he knew to let it roll, and of course he judged it perfectly.
It's a smashing cup tie atmosphere, and I'm sorry for all you people at Central Park who couldn't be here, but the Wigan supporters are making their presence heard, as are indeed other Batley fans. They've been looking forward to this one ever since the draw was made. Beverley one day, Wigan the next. And here's the hooker Scott, and he's got the pass away for John Gilfillan. And again, Batley earning applause as they carry play up and beyond the halfway line, with Scott again trying to hoodwink the opposition. Conley nailed him. Tomlinson, short ball Wilson. And the other thing that Jeff Gratian has said, that you cannot afford to make mistakes. We all know that, of course, against a side like Wigan. So the message he was drumming into his players in the dressing room 15 minutes before kick-off was, do not make any errors.
I think he'll be fairly satisfied with the start they've made, because remember, they are playing up the slope, and the longer they can contain Wigan, and we've got a problem here with Frano Botica, who looks to have an injury right on the touchline. He's going off, he's going to be replaced by Paul Aitchison, so Botica, I'm sure, is going to have some stitches in that facial injury. It looks like an eye wound, which we missed in general play. I think it came as the ball was spilled. We've got a scrum down, of course, but I do think Jeff Gratian will be delighted with the start they've made. He'll be satisfied.
Yes, Botica off for the moment, as Clark tries to reverse play for Connolly. It's Moxon who's come right up from his full-back position to down Connolly on the halfway line. Henry Paul plays the ball to himself, and some of the fans didn't think he'd done it within the rules of the game, but the referee thought it was okay. And, mysteriously another ball appeared from somewhere. Kelvin Skerritt. Vital for Wigan to try and get the first points on the board. He always settles the side down, and here goes Paul, and he's got the pass away, and this might be Wigan's first score as the substitute stretches for the line. Paul Aitchison is held just a yard short, and a tenacious tackling from Batley, and they might even have won the ball. They have.
Scrambling defence paid off there for Batley. He couldn't have been more than a couple of inches short of scoring there, Paul Aitchison. It was his first touch since his introduction as substitute, replacing Frano Botica, but fabulous defence there. They know the ground very, very well here, and that could be a big advantage to Batley, John.
Yeah, that was vital for Batley. I was saying how vital it was for Wigan to try and get the first points on the board. It always settles the side down. Equally vital, of course, for Batley not to concede them. And here is a knock-on.
Well, that's a big problem for Batley. I'm sure Jeff Gratian will be a touch worried. The big pack can get the ball out, as they will do from the scrum, and move it wide quickly, as we saw previously with Paul Aitchison running onto the ball from a deep position. He caused immense problems there for the Batley team.
Yes, now Afire hasn't had his hands on the ball yet, but he's eagerly waiting like a lion on the far side of the pitch, and Wigan might try and get the ball out to him. Here it goes, here goes Afire, he's on the outside, he's beaten one, he cuts inside and can't beat the next line of defence, but at least he's now had a taste of the action.
Predictable run from Martin Afire.
Yes, it was. Henry Paul. Across from Hall to Edwards, and Skerritt, and he barges into the tackler, Scott. They held him well there, but can they hold out for the remaining three tackles? Hall switches it back for Connolly, trying to find space. They hold him. Can they hold Aitchison next? They can. Still two tackles to go, and I'm sure Wigan will again try and spread the ball left. There it goes from Edwards. What a strange pass, and it's booted into the air, and there could yet be a Wigan score here. It's the first try, and it goes to Mick Cassidy, who follows up his own kick. It was a curious, very curious try, but does that matter? Cassidy's got it for Wigan.
Well, totally unorthodox how it came about, wasn't it? The long ball thrown out by Sean Edwards. It came off the boot of Cassidy, but in fairness to Cassidy, he carried on going and just won the race to touchdown.
So Mick Cassidy does what he did last week at Wakefield. and scores for Wigan, crucially to give them a 4-point cushion. And Henry Paul, with Botica off the field, is taking over goal-kicking responsibilities. He's kicked 17 already this season, and he shouldn't have any problems negotiating this for number 18. And here he comes, and Wigan lead by 6 points to 0.
Well, as you were saying, John, they needed the early try to settle them, perhaps. That's exactly what they got. It did come from a fairly unpredictable situation, but nonetheless, all credit to Mick Cassidy, and he generally comes up with the goods. Cometh the hour, cometh the man, and Mick Cassidy followed his own kick up there, and it was a very, very good score indeed, although Batley and Jeff Grayson must be disappointed. It all came from that mistake when they spilled the ball at the scrum.
Just what he was drumming into them, as we said before the match. Anyway, play resumes with Wilson's kick. And that will be disconcerting to the Batley fans that their side has not got on the board yet. And Wigan have, and here's Robinson. He's eager for work, and he gets the ball away for Hall. And the fear that Batley also have is that Wigan get beyond them and out of reach by half-time coming down the hill.
Well, that's always a possibility. If Wigan get a real grip on the game, then there will be literally no way back for Batley. But at the moment, they're still sticking to the guns and sticking to the task fairly well.
Yes, they are. Here goes Cowie. He's sticking to him. And eventually the ball is played, and Edwards goes. He's found the gap. Oh, it must be a great chance here. Tugamala amazingly spills a pass with nobody near him.
Great work from Sean Edwards. Always has a big influence on the Wigan attacking ploys, of course. Lovely ball thrown out to Inga, but Tuigamala just dropped the pass at the vital moment, and if he'd have got into his stride going down the hill, well, it would have been K. Sarah.
Yeah, it was Inga the centre then, as opposed to Inga the winger, wasn't it? And unfortunately he showed he's fallible.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of other opportunities for him to have running chances at the Batley defence, certainly in the first half, because Wigan now, despite the fact Batley have a penalty, Wigan, for me, look to be slightly asserting their authority on the game.
Yeah, it was a great break from Edwards, but Batley now move up inside Wigan territory, and it's Parkinson, the 6'3" prop forward, formerly of Halifax. Tomlinson, clever little reverse ball from him to Child. There's some good runners in the pack, and they've a formidable home record, which I'll tell you about in a moment as Tomlinson gets this one away. They've played here 14 times this season, won 12 of them, drawn one and lost only one. So the only defeat was by London Crusaders in the very last match here, funnily enough, by 22 points to 10. Wigan, of course, have lost twice this season, that's all. Once against Leeds, once against Australia. Robinson for them, he's a little dancer, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to actually pin down. It's difficult to judge which way he's going to turn as well.
I'd love to see him do a bit of breakdancing.
I'm sure he's capable.
I'm sure he is. Cowie running smack into trouble. But this is more danger to the Batley line. Dennis Betts was smacking his lips when he considered the prospect of coming down this hill, and I'm sure he's going to be in there again looking for an opening now. Tugamala doesn't spill this one. Again, it was Edwards who's orchestrating everything. The ball hoisted by Edwards. A fire goes! A fire scores! Well, that's the most untypical Martin Offiah try. What a grin! I know half of it's a gum shield, but he's a happy lad, isn't he? That is a very, very unusual Martin Offiah score.
Well, in fairness, it's a tactic which Sean Edwards has produced several times this season. The cross kick, a complete change of direction for the play. That caught the Batley defence unawares. Fabulous catch from Martin Offiah. Again, perhaps another fairly unpredictable kind of try, but he took it brilliantly. And that is a tactic which has paid off many times for Wigan this season. Sean Edwards, again, instrumental in the build-up. Great try.
Well, he took the catch like a West Indian cricketer, didn't he, out there? Very, very happy lad, Martin Offiah. 200th try, of course, in Division 1 last week at Wakefield, and on the score sheet here, actually he played against Batley about 5 years ago for Widnes, and he scored 4 against them, so he's got happy memories of them. But that was at Norton Park, this is at Mount Pleasant. But Wigan are 10 points to the good, and I wonder what odds you'd get of Batley winning now, Jack.
Very short, I would imagine, very short indeed.
Henry Paul And it's 12-0, and Wigan trying to get themselves out of sight.
Wigan seem to have a habit, John, of really starting matches very, very well indeed, and I'm sure that is a tactic which Graham West will have drilled into the players this afternoon, and I'm sure again, to go back to the pitch situation, they'll be delighted with the surface and the start they've made. It's been positive and they're in the lead.
And professional. Positive and professional, the two P's. Here comes another one, Henry Paul. Dennis Betts, a rampaging run from the second row man, Betts, and he stood up in the tackle and he got the penalty as well, which Edwards has already planted into touch. And these are tense moments for the home side and their supporters, because Wigan have got the bit between their teeth. Here goes Neil Cowie, and with 5 tackles to come from this position, you can imagine another score being imminent. Cowie again, and Batley should beware of that little ploy. It's twice he's played the ball to himself now, and there could be reward again as Phil Clark gets to within 15 yards of that Batley try line. Paul's acting half back. Betts. Well, they've stopped Betts, but will they stop the next man? Again, they might think of spreading it. It's from Edwards to Paul, inside ball, Skerritt's in. 3 tries already for Wigan, and they are romping it, no problem. The Cup Kings are on their way.
There's no doubt about it, John. Again, Sean Edwards, instrumental in the build-up, the short ball inside. Kelvin Skerritt, nobody spotted him coming through the gap. The short pass across to Henry Paul, turned it back inside, another change of direction. Great try.
Oh, Kelvin Skerritt doesn't get that many, it's his 5th this season. But he's happy, just as Afire was happy a moment ago. I think there's going to be a few grins around the team today. From the way they've started the match, they'll all fancy their chances of scoring.
Well, it's turning into a nice day out, really, as far as Wigan are concerned, and it does, one fears the worst now, quite frankly, for Batley, John. Wigan have not known to let teams come back into matches. They've made a very good start indeed, and you could see a big score, I think, now.
Yeah. There might be even more bad news for Batley after this kick, because Bottic is about to come back, and one of the Batley players has come off. I think it might be Cameron. It is. He's off injured. So Henry Paul makes his 3rd successful conversion, and it's 18-0 in as many minutes.
Well, we said the opening 20 minutes or so was going to be absolutely vital, and unfortunately for Batley, it's proving to be exactly that. Wigan have got the perfect start, the one they were looking for.
Score from Headingley, Leeds 8, Rydale York 2. And at the Willows it's Salford 10, Featherstone Rovers 8. We'll keep you up to date with as many scores as we possibly can from the Silk Cut Challenge Cup matches around the north of England today. And Wigan coming down the hill are an awesome proposition at the moment, typified by Skerritt here. We were hearing Andy Parkinson say before the game that he was as big as he is, but Skerritt's having quite an influence, and so is referee Morris, who awards Wigan another penalty, already booted into touch by Edwards, and Edwards for me is man of the match at the moment, making an early bid for that nomination. Here goes Cowie. Oh, he's taking some halting as well. Is there another try on the cards here for Wigan? Edwards, the ball for Clark, the inside pass for Betts, and they really they know where everybody is on this side. You can say they telegraph the passes, but that's fine so long as they know where they are. Bottic goes, had those stitches put in. Tugamala. Noticeable that a fire had come across there, sniffing out another opportunity. It's from Hall, it's for Skerritt. They've got to hold this man. Kelvin Skerritt looks in tremendous form today. Meat and drink for him this. Edwards, he might be there. No, they spotted him that time, and on the last tackle Wigan still will try and squeeze out a 4th try. Well, if the referee had blown his whistle and said play, then Batley were away with nobody to stop them.
I think they'll just be delighted, John, to have held up the Wigan pressure for the moment, because they do look pretty dangerous when they get close to the line. All the danger, as it usually does, of course, is coming from Sean Edwards. He orchestrates the back line. Kelvin Skirts, as you've said, made a great start.
And they're getting so much ball, aren't they? Here is Henry Paul accepting that pass from Botica, and on he goes. It's all Wigan. Edwards, and here goes Phil Clark. Phil Clark's in, 4 tries for Wigan, and it's an absolute romp. It's a lovely Sunday afternoon picnic for Wigan, this.
It certainly is. Phil Clark, I think that's only his 2nd try of the season, but he took it perfectly well. He came from the deep position, good work from Botica. Again, Sean Edwards with the pass to Phil Clark. Great start for Wigan.
Yes, his only previous try was against St Helens in the Cup, so the Cup brings out the best in Phil Clark. A player who's hoping, of course, to go to Australia at some stage in his career. And here we have it again. And Edwards is at the heart of everything, but there's just no stopping Wigan in this mood.
Well, Batley have no answer at all whatsoever for the pressure, and that's what's been the undoing of Batley so far, because the tackling they've been forced to do in the first 20 minutes could be absolutely crucial, and Wigan will completely destroy them if they're not very careful indeed.
Jack, I think you'll back me. It's not being wise after the event or clever, but I did say if Wigan played downhill first half, I could see them being out of sight, and that although everybody was saying they wanted to play up the hill in the first half, there is a danger in that. Now Botica resumes kicking responsibilities. Has he got his sights set yet? He has. Doesn't miss many, does he?
He's got a marvellous technique, Frano Botica. I've studied him for a long time, and he just strokes the ball between the posts. He's got a fabulous technique, and all credit to him. Just an indication of the professionalism, perhaps, of the Wigan team as well. Botica went off early in the game. He's back on. He's got a head injury, heavily strapped. He wants to get back out there, and he wants to score points for Wigan. That's an indication of the professionalism which runs right through Central Park.
Yeah, there's no question of them declaring, is there, at any stage? They'll try and get as many points as they can, and they've 20 odd on the board already in 25 minutes. That was Botica's 97th successful kick of the season, and it's got to be a very good chance of him bringing up the century today. 24-0 Wigan lead, and it looks to me as though Grandad Jeff Gratian is about to come on as well. He's prowling on the touchline at the moment. To Gamala, here goes Jason Robinson, cuts inside into the welcoming arms of Phil Murphy. Now, it must be agonising for Jeff Gratian, who wants to get into the heat of the battle, although I don't think he'll be able to stem the tide. Botica to Betts, forward pass. Well, Jeff Gratian must wonder what has hit his team. The build-up is wonderful. Everybody talks about the romance of the Cup and this being Batley's big day, but it can turn into a nightmare.
Well, it will do very careful. If they're not very careful, it certainly will do, John, because they've not had the start they wanted. The opening 10 minutes, they look pretty steady, but that man Sean Edwards, and just the power and the sheer professionalism as Wigan has been really the undoing of Batley in the game.
We've had 25 minutes, and we have an injury on the Batley side. Could be, there we have a look. Head down, straight into the welcoming arms of Botica for John Gilfillan. It's a moment like this he wishes he was still playing for Wigan.
I'm sure he does. In fairness to the Wigan player there, I think it was Henry Paul, he immediately got up and called to the Batley bench that John Gilfillan needed treatment. He's back on his feet, fortunately and thankfully, but he looks to be in a bit of trouble, and that's the other problem that Batley have got, playing against a First Division side today. The sheer pace of the game and running into First Division forwards and First Division players, they're not used to it, and as you can see, he's in pain.
Well, it could be anything. That could be a broken wrist, a thumb, anything really, but he's in agony, and it means Jeff Gratian is on. Well, disappointing for Gilfillan, for him against his old club, and he might not come back, of course.
Big problem now for Batley. It'll be interesting to see it's a real test of their character, isn't it, really? It'll be interesting to see how if they can recover, not necessarily from the scoreline, but for the occasion, for their own pride, really. That's what they're going to be playing for from here on in, I feel.
You might think as well that we said it's their biggest match, but they've really beaten nothing on the way to this round. They beat Beverley 30-20 in the last round, and before that they beat Shawcross, their local neighbours, 32-4. You can hardly have a greater contrast than Shawcross and Beverley, and then Wigan. Perhaps they'd have been better off playing, one or two of the better club sides in the league.
Well, they'll look back to the situation they had against St Helens here, won't they? And that would have given them encouragement before the start of this game.
Very much so. And Tomlinson, did he lose the ball in there? No, it was picked up, in fact, by Graham Middleton, the other Batley substitute who's come on. So they're both subs on now. And here they do come up the hill encouragingly until the ball is put down by Child. And the end of another good movement, and Jeff Gratian will not be happy about that. Another unenforced error.
And of course they've conceded possession again, and they can ill afford to do that, John, especially with the scoreline 24 points to 0. The sun's shining at Mount Pleasant, it's shining on Wigan at the moment, and it's been a sunshine start for Graham West.
Yeah, if they get another try and goal in the next couple of minutes, it'll carry on at a point a minute for Wigan. The game's already won and lost, to be fair, isn't it? And here's Botica now, seeking an opening and being hounded and pushed way back into his own quarter. Tugamala, they won't push him back so easily. Edwards across the line, they'll try and release a fire, of course. Connolly. Here goes a fire now. On the outside of one, through the middle. Well, he nearly got away, they caught his ankle. Another couple of strides and he was on his way. Betts was a bit of juggling with the ball first. If anybody's just coming in at Central Park, the good news for Wigan is that they lead 24-0 already here at Batley. The try scorers have been Mick Cassidy, Martin Afire, Kelvin Skerritt and Phil Clark. Henry Paul's kicked 3 goals, Frano Botica 1. Botica, who went off to the blood bin earlier, is now back on, and Ray Robinson is chasing down here and trying to put some pressure on Steve Walker. And Steve Walker has just made it out off his own in goal.
Good kick and an excellent chase there by Jason Robinson, puts pressure on Batley continually.
Moxon to Tomlinson and then to Thornton. I don't remember mentioning Gary Thornton. It's difficult when you're a winger in these circumstances, you very rarely see the ball.
And she'll be just be delighted to have got a touch and become involved in the game.
And we're almost half an hour into it. As Tomlinson now tries to get Gratian moving up the middle. The player coach, amazingly 45 years of age, 46 next Saturday, loves his rugby league. You see, he thinks he can carry on playing till he's about 60 in the A team anyway.
Well, I'm not going to tell him he can't. Great advert for the game, isn't it? Fabulous experience.
Played against his son last week as well. That's amazing at Rochdale. Absolutely amazing. And rugby league is full of great characters, and there are quite a few out here on the pitch at Mount Pleasant today. Not many of this Batley side will ever have played against Wigan before. Gratian certainly has, of course. Connolly looks for a long pass, breaks through the middle. Here goes Gary Connolly now. There's got to be a great chance for a fire. Oh, they won't catch a fire. And an unavailing dive at his feet. Martin Afire over in the corner. The second try of his afternoon. Wigan's 5th. 28 points to 0. And the Wigan machine just keeps on rolling.
I think the only difference with that score, the second one for Martin Afire, John, it's the first try Wigan have scored, I think, without Sean Edwards really being involved in it. But Gary Connolly, marvellous sidestep, spotted the gap, set off down the hill. He's already aware of Martin Afire on his right-hand side. It's an absolute formality.
He is a Rolls Royce, the fellow, isn't he? They'll probably complain to him that he didn't put it down at the back of the sticks. To be fair to the Batley player, he did have a go at him, didn't he? That'd have been the try-saving tackle of the season if it had been effected by Middleton.
He's got pace and certainly space to burn, though, hasn't he, out there? He's got all the pace he needs and all the space he needs as well to run into.
40 tries this season now, Martin Afire, so he's outstripped last season's tally. And the next thing he'll be thinking about will be a hat-trick. He's got 6 this season already, 41 in his career. I'm sure his eyes are lighting up at the very prospect.
Marvellous record.
Botica. Oh, it was a very good kick, and it just drifts wide of that far upright. The first unsuccessful kick of the afternoon, and it keeps Wigan's lead down to 28. Here it is. No, it looked to be starting way over on the left-hand side. It almost comes back, just misses.
Well, the half-time team talk in the Batley dressing room, John, would be very, very interesting. A fly on the wall there would be certainly well worth being there, listening to that, Jeff Gratian. I don't really know what he can say to the players.
I would think just keep your heads up. Unfortunately, we don't have a camera in there. I'm sure he wouldn't have liked it either. But, that is it, isn't it? Just pride, keep your pride intact. Robinson, he'll fancy a try. He's not got one as yet. And look at that, they can't bring him down. Real will-o'-the-wisp. So wiry. Penalty given Wigan's way. At half-time at Headingley, it's Leeds 20, Rydale York 2, so they're on their way, Leeds. And Salford 10, Featherstone Rovers 10 from the Willows. A surprising scoreline coming in from Lorcombe Lane though. It's Henry Paul's away. Henry Paul might go all the way. This is Henry Paul's moment of glory. And it's yet another score for Wigan. The 6th try of their afternoon. Another one for this wonderful fullback Henry Paul, who is making a terrific impact in his first season at Central Park.
Fabulous run from Henry Paul. Botica, the creator on this particular occasion. Short pass just popped up for Henry Paul, and once he got past the initial posse of would-be tacklers, again it becomes a formality, just jinks his way through, sees sight of the line, no problem.
Henry Paul's 11th try, and of course he's kicked 3 goals as well today, so he's got 10 of the Wigan points already on the board. And that other scoreline I was going to give you from Lorcombe Lane is Keighley 0, Huddersfield 14. That's a bit surprising, to be honest, because Keighley, top of the second division, going very well. Many people fancy them to certainly even get as far as the semi-finals.
Huddersfield had a fabulous victory in the last stage of the Challenge Cup, of course, didn't they? They beat Halifax at home, so their hopes will be high.
Just as Wigan hopes will be high, running amongst the record score today if they carry on like this. Botica, good goal, 34-0. Well, those are easy for him.
Meat and drink, John, but fabulous technique, and he's getting close to the century of goals, I think. And let's not forget he missed a fairly large chunk of the season. 6 or 7 weeks I think he missed, so I mean, how many goals would he have kicked had he not missed that period of time?
Yeah, he's got 98 now, Jack, to go with his 5 tries this season, and of course he's got 744 goals in his career now, plus 13 drop goals. It's a phenomenal aggregate, isn't it?
Can he be replaced? I think that's the question which needs to be answered. In fairness, the Central Park board and the men in charge and the staff at Central Park have answered it in the past.
Yes, they have. His Henry Paul once again, and he nearly got away again too. Now it's been an absolute delight to watch. A romp, a very one-sided contest, it's got to be said. For all the pre-match talk that Batley were going to give it everything, it's simply first division against second, it's got to be said. Men against boys.
Well, the class is apparent, isn't it? And quite frankly, Batley can't cope with the step up in class. And Wigan are looking dangerous from every single area on the field. Yes. In fact, they're looking more dangerous in their own third of the field than they are in the Batley third of the field, which they have a habit of doing.
Yeah, well, they're so good at long range, and this is where they go again. Dennis Betts, for once he passes the ball straight into a pair of Australian hands. Glenn Tomlinson of Batley. That's very sweet relief, isn't it? I think that's about the first mistake Wigan have made.
They've got to be looking for a period of consolidation now, Batley, just to hold Wigan at bay temporarily at least have 10 minutes rest during the half-time interval, but I'm sure they'll need it.
Well, it's getting close to the half-time hooter. Andy Parkinson tries to wriggle himself out of Skerritt's tackle. Gratian. Holds on one-handed. Oh, and plays some basketball now. Scott. About 3 minutes left, I would think, plus maybe a little bit of time to be added on. Tomlinson, and Tomlinson, the little chip through. Henry Paul. The thing about Wigan is they're wanting to score tries from everywhere on the pitch, and look at this dazzling run from Paul.
In fairness, John, they have not only having a very good season, of course, and winning games comfortably, they've entertained the rugby league public this season. The entertainment value is usually worth the admission price alone. In a game like this, they would be expected to win comfortably, but they're still prepared to entertain the paying public.
Clark's broken the tackles, he's broken everybody's but Tomlinson's there. That was a brave lunge by Tomlinson, but a penalty's been given. I'm going to have another little bet with you, Jack. I reckon that Wigan will go past the 1,000 point mark today for the season.
I think you're probably going to be right. I mean, if you look across at the players, they're still determined to pile on the pressure, and presumably will be determined to pile on the points as well.
Well, at start of play it was 952, so they only want 48 today, and they're pretty well on their way, aren't they? Here goes Botica, the ball inside is Tuigamala. And to be fair to the Batley fans, I think they're just enjoying the sight of Wigan, and everybody getting on the score sheet. The latest is Gary Connolly.
Great work from Veer Tuigamala. 3 Batley players round him, but he still managed to release the ball to Gary Connolly. And the support player's been magnificent. Lovely short ball inside, powerful, determined run, and he's equally determined to get the short pass out, and there goes Connolly.
It's an absolute joy to watch, and I was saying that the Batley fans are revelling in it almost as much as the Wigan fans really, if not more, because they don't get many opportunities to see the great players, and the tries are really being spread around. That's the 7th, and it's 6 different players who've scored the 7 tries. Well, if Botica kicks this one, it'll be 99 for the season. Shelling peace time again. 40-0.
Point a minute, as you indicated earlier, John, and quite simply, Batley have no answer at all whatsoever. Maybe they'll look at the situation in the second half. It may not be as hard for them because they will be playing down the slope, but there's 1 or 2 tired bodies out there now, and apart from the tiredness, of course, you always feel more tired when you're not winning a game. I don't know where they're going to get any inspiration from, but they could certainly do with some from somewhere.
Well, you're right, they'll be relieved to be playing down the hill, but sometimes it doesn't even affect teams. Not as good as Wigan anyway, and you'd think that they'd get a few more points in the second half to add to the 40 that they've already acquired. And Batley, remember, have also got their 2 substitutes on, with John Gill filling off injured and unlikely to make a reappearance, I imagine. I didn't actually spot who the other player who went off. I'm not sure who it was, but they are stretched to breaking point. Henry Paul is just linking up whenever he wants now, joining in at will. I think Robinson and Tuigamala would fancy a try today as well. Edwards might get one, of course. Here's one for the winger to chase, and Moxon, he's got to be sure here, and he's just got out of in-goal area.
It's a very difficult situation for any player who's trapped in that bottom corner, facing the hill, of course. Very difficult, and he did quite well there, Moxon, in fairness, under a lot of pressure.
He did. Parkinson, absolutely vital for Batley not to concede yet another try before half-time, although the match has been won and lost for a long time, but they mustn't make mistakes. And here's McWilliams holding on to Tomlinson's pass. The closing moments of the first half, and a fabulous first half it's been for Wigan.
They've even brought the weather with them across the Pennines, John.
Oh, that's where it came from. That's a good kick for touch. That's some of the most enterprising Batley play we've seen, and well appreciated by the local fans. Well, it looks as though Wigan are going to keep their record of never having lost to Batley in the Challenge Cup. It'll be 6 wins out of 6. It was in the semi-final, by the way, when they met in 1910-11 season, when Wigan won 4-2. And there's been talk of, shall we say, a strange club reaching the semi-final stage this year. Here goes Connolly, fires on his outside. Connolly switches it back, the fire on the outside, here he goes, he'll turn and he'll twist and he'll carry on going and he'll try up the middle, he still keeps going, Martin of Fire, gives it away for Botica now, the long ball is for Robinson, they keep on coming, they're coming from everywhere, but finally it's the grand old man himself, Jeff Gratian, who thankfully gets his paws on the ball and play will restart. Oh, Jeff Gratian's having a little bit of a head-to-head there. Play will restart with a penalty to Wigan. I think he knocked the ball forward.
Yeah, he's very disappointed, I think, in the end, but the discipline factor comes into play there, and it's not been good for Batley in the opening 40.
To Gamala, Fire outside, hat-trick of Fire. It's so easy. That should be the message. And Martin of Fire is in for yet another hat-trick, the 7th of his season, the 42nd of his career. And, well, you just can't stop the man, especially from 5 yards.
Gary Connolly, again, near to Iglamala, bursting through some tired, weary would-be tacklers. And it is very, very easy indeed. Well, I say it's easy for Martin of Fire. It isn't sometimes. They all need scoring, and you've got to be there to score them, and he's always there to take that final pass. His positional play is excellent.
Well, around the Rugby League grounds they will announce this half-time score, and I think there'll be a grave disappointment, not just that it's such a one-sided game. People were really hoping that for the best for Batley. Everybody likes the underdog to do well, nobody expects them to win, but a score of 44-0 is humiliating.
It is really, and they're going to go into the dressing room at half-time with little more, well, nothing more in the second half to play for except pride, and it's going to be fairly interesting. But knowing the Wigan setup as I do, the Wigan players, the professionalism will come into the game. They will not want Batley to score a try. They will want to nil them.
And if he kicks this, it will equal Batley's record score against Batley. If he kicks it, I don't know why I bothered asking the question. It's 46-0 and Botica has kicked his 100th goal of the season.
Perfect technique for anybody watching it who wants to try and copy it. I don't think many could in actual fact, because unquestionably he is one of Rugby League's greatest ever goal kickers. There's no doubt about that. It's a fabulous technique, perfect example to follow if anybody can.
Well, the only question remaining to be asked is, can Wigan get 100? I mean, the 46-0 up at half-time. Oh, a knock-on by Edwards. The second mistake of the afternoon. They are coming up the hill in the second half, but I still think there's nothing to stop them scoring as many points as they want, really, because it's technique as well as power that is winning the match.
And just looking at the face of Sean Edwards there, he was disappointed to make a mistake despite the fact that his team are 46-0 in the lead.
Tomlinson goes for the kick through, straight into the hands of Botica, and you see what a mistake that is to make on the very first tackle. I think he was going for glory. He knew that we were so close to the half-time hooter, and yet he suffered, didn't he? And they might suffer another try yet, because it's Dennis Betts in control. Down the hill he comes. Here comes a Fire again. That hooter, I can tell you, is the best sound that Batley have had in this half. Sweet relief for them. Martin of Fire has got yet another hat-trick already. 41 tries for the man this season. The former Roslin Park winger has already sealed victory for Wigan in this game. Sean Edwards, the skipper, hasn't got a try. Just about everybody has, but he really has been a key figure. And Jack, I would think that everybody back at Central Park can enjoy whatever sort of drink they want now at half-time.
Yes, I certainly think they will do, John. It's been a very, very positive performance, hasn't it? But again, there's professionalism, which we keep mentioning, as everybody does, but you can't get away from it at Central Park. It's always there, it always peeps through. We've seen it again, and I feared the worst for Batley when I saw the ground, and that's exactly how it's turned out.
So half-time here then is Batley 0, Wigan 46. There have been tries for 3 for Martin of Fire, other tries for Mick Cassidy, Kelvin Skerritt, Phil Clark, Henry Paul and Gary Connolly. There have been 4 goals for Frano Botica, 3 for Henry Paul. I hope you enjoy whatever you're having at Central Park at half-time. 46-0, Wigan lead.
We're getting a party to celebrate today's fixture between the Still Sydney Challenge teams.
Woo!
أبوني. Fire! 2 fields!
And the draw for the Silk Cup Challenge Cup quarter-final will be made tomorrow on BBC Radio 5 Live at 7 o'clock. The Batley Club would like to thank City Challenge for making this the most holy club in the Rugby League. Batley director, Mr. Ron Earnshaw, would you please come to the PA box? Now, Batley director, Ron Earnshaw to the PA box. 7336. That's ticket number 7336. If you've got this ticket, you come up to the PO box with £100 for you. So that's number 7336. The result of the half-time draw, ticket number 7336, has been won by Batley from Wigan.
to Mount Pleasant. As you can see, the two sides re-emerging, and Jack Dearden was saying halfway through that first half, what on earth could Jeff Gratian say to his lads? Well, I reckon it was just keep your chins up. They're coming out anyway, and Gratian's among them out there. I can give you one or two half-time scores from the Siltcut Challenge Cup. It's now Workington 42, Lee 4. Sheffield Eagles 1, Widnes 18, strange score. Leeds now 26, York 2, Rydal York 2. Salford 10, Featherstone Rovers 15, and Keighley 0, Huddersfield 18. That's the most surprising one to me, Jack.
Yes, it's a good performance, obviously, by Huddersfield.
And Batley doing what I felt they should have done in the first half and played downhill then. Because Wigan have won the match already. The only academic thing now is how many points they're going to get, and here comes Robinson trying to register the first of the second half.
He'll be determined to get on the score sheet himself as well in this second half. Of course, all the glory perhaps belonging to his wing partner Martin O'Fire in the first half, but Jason Robinson, I'm sure, will be looking to get on the score sheet himself in the second half.
Well, people like Phil Clark here and Henry Paul have had excellent first halves as well. And just because Wigan are playing uphill, don't think that they won't be able to score more points. They will. A measured kick there, which eventually is picked up by Steve Walker. Robinson, one of the two tacklers. But it will be nice for Batley to think that they're not having to plough their way uphill again.
Interesting with the little chip kick which came in a few moments ago, John, from Sean Edwards. Some of the Batley players, even after the ball had been played, had not taken the place in the Batley line, in the line-out, so they're obviously finding it tough already.
Gratian, man who played in 5 semi-finals and lost the lot. I think a lot of sympathy for Jeff Gratian around rugby league circuits, because he has been one of the great servants of the game. Here he is now in possession, trying to spread the ball out wide. Tomlinson kicks straight to Henry Paul. Good catch right on the 25-yard mark, and away goes Henry Paul up the middle. What a very good player he is. Robinson, and he doesn't make the mistake of kicking, which is what Batley did when they had their only chance close to the Wigan line in the first 40 minutes. Through the hands it goes. This is Connolly. The fire lurking as always behind him in anticipation of a pass. And here goes a fire now. 3 tries to his name already. And how the Batley fans have enjoyed seeing him play. It's a penalty to Wigan.
I think it was a late challenge which came in on Martin O'Fire there, and I think we'll see Wigan adopting a tactical kicking game in this second half. I think Sean Edwards has already been indicating to the players he'd like the ball to be kicked as often as possible, and Martin O'Fire, I think the word is copped one there, John. He's down injured, and a couple of Batley players coming in fairly heavily as he comes into the phrase. It's a 3-man tackle. Must be very difficult sometimes for referees, though. It is a very physical game, this. The referee's done well.
Yes, he has done well today, Colin Morris. Here comes Neil Cowie for Wigan, first man up. Cowie trying to improve his try tally for the season as well. It stands at just 2. Skerritt, he got one of the early ones today, and he gets it away from Martin Hall, and the hooker too getting the pass away. Edwards, across the line it goes, from Botica to Igamala now, uses his brute strength, pass away for Robinson. They just keep the ball alive so expertly. Exemplary rugby league from Wigan. And another penalty is going to be given, and it's given this time against Jason Robinson. Great delight for the Batley fans over on that side. Robinson, who comes from not far away from here. Oh, a dreadful mistake there from Batley. You see, you cannot afford to do that against any team, let alone Wigan, the best team in the world. And they're proving it again as Connolly passes for Betts, and Betts will look to slip it away. Well, he's still going. The strength of the Wigan players just has been too much all afternoon for Batley. Here goes Cowie now. Paul's alongside him. Paul gets the first score of the second half. It's certainly taken about 5 minutes in coming. Henry Paul's second try to go with his 3 goals, and Wigan are on the score sheet yet again.
Orchestrated once more by Sean Edwards. Martin Hall with a pass to Edwards, steps back in the line into Phil Clark. Good approach work from Wigan, excellent short pass from Cowie. It's easy.
And it's 50. Half century up. 2 tries again for Henry Paul. So he goes on to 12 for the season now.
I was just about to say, John, that if Wigan get off to a flyer in this second half, as they did in the first, we could be set for a record score without question.
Well, I said it's 50 points, and it also means they've got the 1,000 for the season. They go on to 1,002 points, and that means it's 1,004 through the sticks from Frano Botica, and he's on his way to his next century as well. Batley 0, Wigan 52, with power to add and a long time to add as well. And the ball put straight out, and Batley can do nothing right now.
No, it's all going desperately wrong as far as Batley are concerned, but I've just seen Scott Quinnell on the touchline. I don't think it will be too long, John, before we see him introduced into this game, and must be a pleasure for him to come into rugby league with a scoreline as it is at the moment.
I was just going to say, it's the most perfect possible time to come on, isn't it, with your side leading 52-0 and almost 40 odd minutes, a half to go, 35 minutes probably. Edwards to Gamala, he's keen for it. Pretty sure he wants to get on that try sheet as well. 9 tries already scored, 3 of them to a fire, 2 to Paul, and here is Paul once again, keen to get into every skirmish. Hall, and as I said, even playing uphill is not a problem for Wigan. It's making no difference to them at all. I don't think they'll bother with a drop goal here, do you?
Don't think so, John, no. They might bother with another 6-pointer though.
Yeah, Edwards across towards a fire, and penalty given against a fire for offside. Got in front of the kick.
I think we're going to see a double substitution very shortly, because Scott Quinnell and Paul Aitchison are both limbering up on the touchline, and the perfect opportunity to be introduced, one suspects.
There they are, Scott Quinnell, number 15, and Paul Aitchison just resuming his seat for the moment, but not for long, I'm sure. Ooh, and almost an interception, and Batley, oh dearie me, they're just making mistake after mistake after mistake at the moment, and we'll have to have a scrum there because everybody was knocking on, and an ideal time to bring Quinnell on perhaps. He's just having a bit of massage on his legs down on the touchline. There you have it, and the fire's already come off. Well, he's decided he's had enough, so Aitchison's on the left wing. 3 tries for Martin Afire. Perhaps he'll come and have a word with us, who knows?
I think Martin Afire took quite a heavy knock in that last challenge when he was involved in the build-up, John, and I think that's the reason. It may possibly be a precautionary measure, but who knows?
Run by Darren Moxon here that lifts Batley. Gratian, still Jeff Gratian, switches it back inside. Tomlinson. If Batley could get 1 try, it would make the day for Batley. Then the switch back inside for Jimmy Irvin. Is going to result. And Wigan will have the put in. Edwards for Botica. Well, Botica's kicked a few goals, he hasn't got a try either. Is he going to get one? Henry Paul, he looks absolutely determined to be another hat-trick scorer to me. Yes, a real willingness to win the ball.
I think it's just a matter of time before he will complete his hat-trick of tries.
And down on the touchline The second Wigan player, Mick Cassidy's come off. As the ball is switched through the hands, here goes Robinson, up the touchline, past the first, the ball inside is good, Edwards is lurking, if he picks it up he'll score, but it's a forward pass. And he didn't score anyway, but it was a forward pass, no question about that. Mr. Morris couldn't possibly let that one go. Sometimes they do if it's only a foot or so, but not that one.
Tremendous run from Jason Robinson, which set up the possible try-scoring opportunity. The final pass, in fact, was a bit wayward.
And Batley will get more relief with the ball from the scrum. Now, this is where they mustn't make mistakes. Easy to say from here. Different when you're coming up against this machine. And that's all that's what Wigan are. Here's another encouraging run from Gary Thornton, who got 4 tries in the cup win against Shaw Cross. He knows he's up against more redoubtable opposition today. And by the way, at the end of the game we will be trying to bring you some interviews there at Central Park. That was McWilliams for Batley. Jack's going to scamper down to the touchline on the final hooter, so don't go away too soon. There's a good promising run, and the ball just knocked up out of the hands, switched back inside, and Mr. Morris pulls it all to a halt after Walker and Irving got it all wrong.
And Batley, I think, John, were trying to follow the Wigan example there and keep the ball alive. They've obviously learned a bit perhaps from the action this afternoon.
Well, that's why I thought they should have played downhill in the first half. At least that would have given them a bit of encouragement, whereas they're absolutely shattered now, aren't they? 50 odd points behind already, and Wigan in possession. Paul never seems to be an out of possession. Henry Paul, clever little shimmy there to open up the way for Connolly now. Aitchison's on his outside, Robinson was on his inside. Still gets the pass away, it struck the boot of Martin Hall, and here goes Scott Quinnell for the first time. Played at Wakefield last week in the starting lineup.
Probably had his best game so far for Wigan at Wakefield Trinity last week, John, because it was a difficult surface, and at one stage the final outcome looked a bit dodgy, but Wakefield finally relented.
Edwards, huge ball out there that Connolly was literally standing still. No fault attached to him for that. Aitchison, better tackling from Batley at the moment. They've restricted Wigan to this one Henry Paul try in this half, and here is Henry Paul. He's very elusive when he's running like that. Edwards wants the ball again, and he gets it. Goes for the kick. Angles it to the corner this time, and it's a clever one. Ooh, and almost they got themselves at 6s and 7s then.
Excellent kick from Sean Edwards, and I think the sight of Martin Offiah going off over the touchline into the dugout will be probably one of the most pleasing sights the Batley players have seen this afternoon, because already you sense, no disrespect to Paul Aitchison, who's come on onto the left wing position, but you can sense there isn't quite the same danger, there's quite the same threat there, is there?
Absolutely right. And let's have a look. This Edwards kick, he really looked keen for the ball at that point, and he kicked it up into the corner there, and Moxon going across. Well, they looked to have a few problems, didn't they? They're going to have a few more now, because Wigan have got the put in at this scrum, as Batley made another mistake close to their own line, and Edwards is just issuing the orders. Botica will be involved. Here he is. Edwards involved a second time. Running onto the ball is Paul. He's only got Aitchison on his outside, and Aitchison comes to grief in the tackle of Thornton. But 5 more tackles from here. Henry Paul spins away for Aitchison. Oh, they're trying to do it down the blind side. They might be better advised to spread it. Hall. It's not a great ball, and Batley might just pounce on it. They do. And the rhythm has just been lost for the moment by Wigan.
Temporarily, probably to do with the double substitution which they've been forced to make, of course. Scott Quinnell, I mean, he's been introduced gradually into rugby league, and Wigan have done that with various players they brought in, this gradual situation. Even thinking back to Jonathan Davis, John, it seems to work.
Perfect for him. Good passing from Batley now, and here goes Darren Moxon, one of their top try scorers. He's got 7 this season, and he's a really game trier, is Moxon, and he's done well to get the ball away for Irving. But at long last, Batley are giving their fans something to cheer.
Well, it's been a long wait for them, but they've got the tails up at the moment.
And McWilliams reverses the pass. Gratian the same. Tomlinson. This is a good spell. This is Simon Wilson. Through the middle he goes. Wilson's got two men on his outside. There might be a try. Gary Thornton scores it. And Batley, the gallant youths, have got their try. That's their moment and their cup final. And it's Gary Thornton's 15th of the season and the one he's going to remember longest.
Well, it was an excellent score. They kept the ball alive brilliantly, and they'll have been encouraged, I think, from the start of the second half. At least they haven't conceded as many points as they had in the first half. Brilliant run here from the standoff half. It was Simon Wilson who set the opportunity up. Long looping pass thrown out. I think perhaps the second row forward could have scored. That was Phil Murphy. But in the end, he gave it to his winger Gary Thornton. A moment he's going to remember for a long time.
Didn't they do well? Yeah, going all the way back to Darren Moxon, it was a good one. Jeff Gratian there, keeping it alive. Tomlinson. Wilson's was the decisive break up the middle. Support was coming from Murphy all the way, and Murphy shows the presence of mind to get the ball away for Gary Thornton, and that's Batley's golden moment.
And believe you me, Wigan will be disappointed to have conceded that try. It might sound ridiculous. They'll probably be conducting an inquest as we speak now. In fact, I think they are.
That's right. The sun may be out, but that one Batley try has upset Wigan, and Wilson can't kick the goal to go with the try, but what it might do is sting Wigan out of the lethargy that they just slipped into in the last few minutes. I say lethargy, Jack, that's a harsh word for them, but they had just lost their rhythm.
Yes, I think due entirely, John, as we said, to the introduction of the double substitution. Paul Aitchison, no disrespect to the players who've come on, but it did upset the Wigan rhythm, and the opportunity, in fairness, was well taken by Batley. I think this sends possibly the moments of glory. They timed it right, and they've had a try, and they've got 4 points.
Well, it's never nice to be nilled, and they're not going to be nilled now. When you look back, it's now only 6-4 in the second half.
Of course.
If only, they might be saying, if only they hadn't played that first 40 minutes.
Should have kicked off at 4 o'clock.
Well, Mr. Morris has had a very easy time of it with the players today as well. The discipline's been good on both sides. So Wigan will have the chance of an immediate response from this scrum, because they'll surely get possession from it. And Edwards will fire out one of his passes. Botica's on the receiving end of it. Misses out Connolly. Now which way is he going to go here? Well, he finally went the right way. He was going the wrong way for a moment. He'd forgotten which way he was playing. Henry Porter Robinson to Igamala. And when it's picked up, Batley can't carry on playing. The referee has said that is a knock-on, and no way that play could continue for Steve Walker.
They seem to have regrouped somewhat, Batley, John, in the last 5 or 10 minutes. There's some spirit being shown out there by the Batley players. That's certainly done better in this second half.
And uncharacteristically, we're going to have started to make 1 or 2 mistakes. They will heal from the scrum. Botica to Igamala. Fends off the first, fends off the second. Tries to fend off Wilson as well. Well, he's surrounded. I don't think I've ever seen a man surrounded by so many of the same coloured jerseys. There were 6 claret shirts around Igamala there, and he still made 30 yards.
It was like squatting flies, wasn't it, in the early part of the build-up?
Amazing. Terrific strength. Hall, Robinson, and Sean Edwards. Who's he going to pick out this time? It's Connolly. It's still Connolly. Still Gary Connolly. And on he goes. Well, they're trying to get the bit between their teeth again. The Wigan steamroller, if they get one more try, might begin to crush Batley in the second half. And this is Dennis Betts. A couple of tackles to go. And the Batley man came charging around much too quickly there. Tomlinson concedes the penalty. And with 6 tacklers from here, you've got to fancy Wigan's chances of another score.
Yes, they were a bit too eager to get the ball, I think. Maybe that score has gone to the head a little bit, but I think they're going to actually kick at goal, which is fairly surprising and hasn't gone down well with the spectators.
Not at all. I don't think it's gone down well with the other Wigan players either. It's Sean Edwards who made the decision. Even Botica looked embarrassed. But Everybody wants to get on the try sheet, of course. Still, Edwards is the skipper. He knows what he's doing.
Well, nobody can argue with the record they've had so far in the Challenge Cup or, of course, in the league. They just keep on winning. It is a relentless machine. They continually come up with the goods time after time after time.
So Botica's goal here, if he kicks it, will bring Wigan up to the 54-point mark. That's where they are. 54-4 is the score. So more scores coming in for you. It's Leeds 42, Rydale York 2 at Headingley. And a quite incredible score coming in from Derwent Park. Workington 88, Lee 4.
Not good news there for the former Wigan player Ian Lucas, of course. His introduction to the new coaching regime at Lee. He took over and inspired them in the first couple of matches, but I'm sure he'd rather be here this afternoon still playing for Wigan.
Well, Workington really are the form team of the moment, aren't they? And Huddersfield continue to go well at Keighley. They're now Batley, 20 mark without reply. Quinnell has got the ball away from Robinson down the right, and Tuigamala takes it up now. Tuigamala back inside for Quinnell. I wonder, is it going to be the day when Quinnell gets his first rugby league score? Clark, there's nothing wrong with the pass. Clark's ball is to Robinson, and he's hauled down on the 25.
Batley did well there, John. They got back to cover very, very quickly indeed, and we might see the first sin binning of the game. I think was holding down in the tackle.
Yes, and Tomlinson is the offender. Tomlinson, who incurred the wrath of the referee just a minute or two ago, has upset him even further now. Well, surely Botica's not going to kick another goal, is he? Let's see this one again. Tomlinson is coming in late. There is he? Is he going to? He's just lying on.
The referee got the decision right, in fairness.
Well, I think. Has the decision been made to kick at goal? It has. Well, just giving Botica a chance of target practice, aren't they, really?
Well, they are, and I think some rugby league spectators are disappointed possibly with that attitude, but you can't fault it. It's just the professionalism which runs through the club from start to finish, and they're coasting to victory. It gives everybody an opportunity to have a little breather. They're not going to lose the game, and he puts 2 more points on the board.
Botica, straight kick, and it's straight through the middle, and it's 56-4. If somebody tells them out there that Workington have got 88, they might start trying to get a few more tries.
Maybe at this stage of the proceedings, John, 1 or 2 of the players might just be casting their eyes to the draw for the quarter-final stage. Everybody wants a home tie, of course.
Well, Oldham are in there. Workington are obviously in there. Looks as though Huddersfield are going to be in there. Leeds will certainly be there. What odds against Leeds against Wigan? That's the one that Rugby League itself doesn't want, because that would make the perfect final.
Scott Quinnell's done well since he came on as a substitute. He's got involved in the build-up, and there was one marvellous break a few moments ago which set up that running opportunity for Jason Robinson on the right-hand side, and I think he's beginning to enjoy himself.
Yes, he is, and let's remember Wigan have scored only the 1 try in this half. An early one from Henry Paul. Dennis Betts now. There'll be another penalty here. We can't have another sin binning, can we? They're already down to 12 men, and here it is. Wilson there, Betts, and here it is from Jeff Gratian.
What are you doing?
Still Batley are holding on. Simon Wilson, he was, who got a strict lecture from Mr. Morris. Wigan's penalty, and I don't think even Botica will kick from that range. But I'm sure it's rather rankling with Wigan at the moment that they've only got the 1 score in this half, only 1 try. So Neil Cowie is the next to have a go.
Perfect time though to apply pressure, with Batley temporarily at least being down to 12 men with Tomlinson in the sin bin. They could find it difficult to withstand this latest attack.
Yes, Tomlinson's such a key player for them. And the referee's going to have to sort this one out. Tempers are getting heated in there. There'll be another penalty for Wigan here, and Botica might well kick another one just to cool things down again.
Kelvin Skerritt had a big smile on his face, which is rather surprising at the bottom of that ruck of players.
I think he enjoys a bit of rough and tumble. There it is. There is Skerritt on his way in. The crowd is certainly oohing at the moment. And there is the penalty. And Edwards, he's going to tell Botica to kick at goal again. And this really is beginning to infuriate the Batley fans. They, as much as anyone, want to see Wigan run the ball.
Well, it's an interesting decision once again, but I think he'd made his mind up with the early opportunity when they had a chance to kick at goal early in the second half. He hasn't deviated from that set pattern. He's obviously had it in his mind to kick at goal at every opportunity, and it's another chance for 2 points, you've got to say, although it is disappointing from the other aspect, because I'm sure Wigan have got the players capable of running the ball, especially so with Batley being down to 12 men at the moment.
Botica's kicked 7 already. Paul's kicked 3. And this is to stretch the lead to 58-4. Well, Batley are probably quite happy actually, keep restricting Wigan to these 2 points, and the minutes are ticking by. It's a 104th goal of the season for Frano Botica, and it's just so easy.
Well, it really is meat and drink to Frano Botica, very, very easily converted. It's good kicking practice in actual fact.
Well, that may be in Edwards' mind, who knows, but it is disappointing for the fans. They like to see Wigan running at every opportunity, even if it is a humiliation. I think Cassidy might be coming back on in a moment or two. But we've got to remember they are coming up the hill, and it's not as easy, obviously. That's Quinnell now. And I suppose Jeff Gresham will feel as though Batley have taken some credit out of the game in the second half. Robinson, this elusive runner. What a revelation he's been in his, 3 seasons in rugby league now?
Certainly taken his opportunity very, very well indeed, and he is of course a big favourite at Central Park, Billy Wiz, and he's quite capable of scoring sparkling tries.
Yeah, I remember the one he got against Australia at Central Park this year, the first of Wigan's 4 that day. It was a beauty, even though it wasn't from far out. Dennis Betts now, Quinnell knocks away the first man, and was looking to get the pass away as he went down in the tackle, which is a good sign. Edwards fooled everybody there. Botica, that's not a great pass from Botica though, although Henry Paul has the ball in his hands. Delayed the pass well for Connolly, through the middle, there might be nobody to stop him. Edwards alongside, was it a forward pass? The referee says not, and Sean Edwards gets his first and Wigan's 10th try of the afternoon.
Well, he celebrates in style, Sean Edwards. He's delighted, he's got a big grin on his face. But Connolly made it with this fabulous break, timed it to perfection. Sean Edwards, a supporting player, right on his shoulder. He's under the posts.
Yeah, Connolly's made so many breaks this afternoon. He's got 1 try himself, and he sets up Edwards. It may have been forward, but the referee perhaps not in the best position to tell on that occasion. And Edwards, just as he scored for Wigan the last time they beat Batley in the Cup in 1985, is over again. Another try for Sean Edwards, that's 12 for him this season. And Botica surely about to kick his 9th goal. And Wigan are on 64 points now. And when I'm 64, I hope I'm still watching rugby league like this.
And Wigan have now in fact made that substitution. Phil Clark has been replaced by Mick Cassidy, who started it all off of course with that very first try for Wigan.
Batley have got close to that Wigan try line, but Wigan in possession, and they can score long-range tries, as we know. Well, just to let you know, back in Wigan, we have tried to get a couple of the lads up to talk to us, those who have been substituted, but as professional as they are, of course, they want to see out the 80 minutes, I'm sure. So Edwards' try was only the second of the half for Wigan. Paul got the first of them. Here he is, Henry Paul. Across the line it goes to Gamala, Connolly, Etchison, forward pass. Well, rather sloppy to give away a forward pass at a stage like that. The overlap was there. But as Jack Dearden said a few minutes ago, without Martin of Fire, they somehow don't look quite as potent in that situation. And here are Batley, Wilson, who got their, well, he got Thornton, this man in possession now, in for the try. Simon Wilson's a good rugby league professional. Brings on Darren Moxon, who's a Great Britain under 21 international in his Bradford Northern days. Tomlinson, Murphin, Paul down. This might be Batley's opportunity for a second, might it? Oh, the ball's gone to ground.
Well, just to get back to the other situation, John, the Wigan players have both said the same thing in actual fact. Martin O'Fire and Phil Clark have both said not during the game, which again, as you mentioned, is the professionalism. They want to get this tie out of the way and relax maybe.
Well, we'll try and get a quick word with him on the final whistle. So here goes Sean Edwards. And Tomlinson, who's back on out of the sin bin, nailed him. Botica. Just in case you're forgetting the score at Wigan, it's 64-4 to Wigan. Sounds like a cricket score. And wonderful, elusive running again from Robinson. I'd like to see him score a try because he's worked so hard today.
Well, sometimes he doesn't always get on the score sheet, but he does set up a lot of scores for other people. And Kelvin Skerritt's still got a smile on his face.
I think he's enjoyed every minute of it this afternoon. Somebody went in a little bit too high there. And, even Jeff Gratian's having to get calmed down by the touch judge. The touch judge immediately was on there. Let's have a look at it here. And that was Thornton. It's this next tackle on Skerritt, which is the one. There you go. And that was the hooker, Scott. And perhaps equally fortunate not to be sin-binned.
Just frustration, John, isn't it really? They know they've lost the cup tie. They're perhaps thinking that they've not done as well maybe as they would have liked.
So is there another Wigan try on the cards here? Skerritt's going in, bulldozing up the hill. Williams got him in the tackle, along with the substitute Middleton. Cowie. Well, it's certainly not been a runaway for Wigan in the second half. Just tries from Paul and from Edwards. And here goes Quinnell. He's had a few storming runs since he's come on. Connolly, he's had a storming afternoon altogether. But this time when he puts the pass away, it's picked up by a Batley man. And possession lost. And temper's becoming more and more frayed out there.
Just a little bit scrappy at the moment, John, but I think all the players know what the final outcome is going to be, if not the final score. So I think everyone needs to settle down just a touch and get back to the subject of playing rugby league.
Yeah, we're certainly going to see Wigan in the draw tomorrow. We're certainly going to see Leeds. We're going to see Workington. Oldham we know are already through. And in fact, I can bring you some final scores. We've played just on the halfway line. It was Leeds 44, Rydale York 14. Salford 10, Featherstone Rovers 30. That's a very good result for the men from Post Office Road at the Willows. Oof. And unbelievably at Derwent Park, that wasn't the final score I gave you earlier. It did end Workington Town 94, Lee 4. That's a calamitous result for the Hilton Park Club.
And Workington Town, as fate would have it, are Wigan's next opponents, or due to be the next opponents in the league next weekend, if that game goes ahead, of course.
Wigan continue to plough furrows through the middle. Martin Hall, latest in possession. Connolly, he's never stopped running. He's enjoyed coming up the hill as much as he did going down it, I think. Dennis Betts, fumble from him, and he didn't enjoy that very much. It's just got a little bit ragged, as Jack was saying.
A little bit untidy, a little bit scrappy. The pitch was soft at the start of the game. It looks a touch rutted now, and it's a lot firmer than it was at the start of this match. As we said, the pitch has continued to dry out throughout the game itself.
There are 6 minutes left, we're told by the timekeepers. McWilliams, he's kept on running. So much more gallant effort from the gallant youths in the second half. Tomlinson, and the ball got away again very well in the tackle, and wouldn't the crowd love to see Batley get a second try? Don't think Wigan's fans would like it too much, but it would be 2 tries apiece in the half then, and Tomlinson has got the ball through to his loose forward Cameron.
I think the Batley supporters will be perhaps a bit disappointed with the display of Tomlinson, because I know that Graham West thought he was a threat earlier on in the week, chatting to the Wigan coach, and he picked him out as their danger man, and I think he'll be a touch disappointed that he hasn't really produced on the day.
Here comes Dennis Betts now, and there must be a terrific chance here for Wigan to get another score. He's got Tugamala on his outside, and Inga the winger is away, and Vega Tugamala is going to get his score. He's deserved it, and Wigan just keep on clicking up the points. Betts made the break, Tugamala at his shoulder, accepted the pass, and from that moment on there was only one net result.
Well, Dennis Betts in possession is always dangerous. In a broken field he's particularly dangerous, and once he's broken the final tackler, it's just a question really of timing the pass. And in fairness to Via Tugamala, his legs are going there, as you can see. It's a long way to the try line going up the hill, but he's made it.
And it's 68-4. Vega Tugamala, the latest Wigan player on the score sheet. Cassidy started it all off in the early phases of the game. Martin Afire got a hat-trick in the first half. Kelvin Skerritt, Phil Clark, Henry Paul with a couple. Gary Connolly and Sean Edwards have all figured in this Wigan romp. And if Bottiger kicks his 10th goal, it will take Wigan on to 70 points. And even one of their biggest cup wins in recent years, and Bottiger kicks the goal. The man is quite astonishing.
Uncanny accuracy from Frano Bottiger, whether it's under pressure or whether his team are comfortably in the lead, he just never seems to fail. Quite capable of kicking from any angles on the field. Marvellous record.
So the day is almost over for Batley. Their cup run is almost over as well. 70 points for Wigan. An awesome performance. Just as Workington and Leeds have won convincingly today. Featherstone a good result at Salford. Victory for Oldham yesterday against Warrington. So we just about know the makeup of the last 8 clubs in the Silk Cut Challenge Cup for 1995. Widnes were ahead at Sheffield the last time we heard from the Don Valley Stadium. Penalty given to Batley, and Cowie's going to be pulled out here for a quiet word from Mr. Morris. ball put into touch by Wilson, so with 6 more tackles they might be almost the last 6 of the game. It's Andy Parkinson who charges up towards that red and white line. It's a huge barrier for him to overcome. And then the ball is swung left, and here at pace comes the Batley man Walker, and Walker is nailed a yard short, but Batley might still get in. The Wigan line holds good for the moment. The pass is squeezed away, and the referee says there was a knock on there, and there will be a scrum. So the Wigan line holds firm. It is not to be breached again, maybe. Two minutes to go. There's Martin Afire. 3 tries in the first half. He'd done his job. Won't be too worried if he didn't figure much in the second half, and he doesn't look worried, does he, alongside Phil Clark, as Wigan are awarded a penalty now. So is there time for one last Wigan score? Well, many of the youngsters in the crowd here today will cherish the memories of this great occasion, even though their side has been slaughtered. Good bruising run up the middle from Cassidy. Batley to be pinned back again by Quinnell, and the former Welsh Rugby Union man has made quite an impact. He's looked good today. Botica inside, releasing Skerritt on the charge. Skerritt too has had a good day. Here goes Dennis Betts, one of the few who's not been on the score sheet. Through the middle, Cassidy, the man who started it all off in the early minutes with the first try. And Wigan look to me as though they're queuing up for the kill. The last one may be. Aitchison to Gamala. Connolly, a little chip through from Connolly, and Connolly scores, does he? He's there. He's held on his back though. And even at this late stage, it's a little bit of relief for Batley and disappointment for Gary Connolly that he doesn't get what would have been his second try. And that was in fact the final moment of this game here at Mount Pleasant, which has been won so comprehensively by Wigan. A big disappointment for Batley that they didn't do better on the day. They were never in the hunt after that early barrage of points from Wigan. Mick Cassidy scored the first try goal by Henry Paul. It wasn't long before Martin Afire was making a catch from a Sean Edwards kick. Paul converted that, and then Kelvin Skerritt scored, and the tries just kept on coming. Phil Clark, Afire another 2 before the break. Paul and Connolly scored as well, and it was 46-0 at half time. In the second half, Henry Paul, Sean Edwards and Vega Tugamala scored for Wigan, and Gary Thornton got the most popular try of the afternoon for Batley. But the final score is Batley 40, Batley 4, Wigan 70. Wigan go through, and we can now join Martin Afire on touchline with Jack Dearden.
You doing it today or what?
Well, Martin, a marvellous performance. I know that some of the Wigan players were a touch worried about the game before the kick-off, but you had no problems in the end.
Well, unfortunately, I think the weather, probably helped. I think the last couple of days hasn't rained, so the ground wasn't probably as muddy as it could have been. They came out after a bit of a tricky start. Got quite a few points on the board, and just carried on from there.
And another hat-trick for Martin Afire.
Yeah, it's quite fortunate. It was nice. Picked up a bit of a strain, so that's the way it goes, isn't it?
It certainly looked as though you won the game in the early part of the first half. You were scoring literally to point a minute. It was over as a contest at the halfway stage, really.
Well, we knew that they like playing, downhill. No one really likes playing uphill, and we were quite fortunate. We played quite well in the first half.
I know you went off in the second half. What's the injury, Martin?
I just got a bit of a strain at the top of the leg, and can't take too many chances.
I know you can't do anything about the cup draw, but it's going to be made tomorrow night. I suppose you want anybody at Central Park?
Yeah, well, you just have to wait and see. It's just nice to play at home. We played away, and unfortunately we won.
Martin, thanks very much indeed.
Well, Graham,
a marvellous performance, I think. Another professional display from Wigan.
Oh, we knew we had to come here and play well. Batley play well on their own pitch. You know, we've watched them play on the tapes, and I've watched them playing against St Helens. We knew they were going to play a good game, but I was really pleased with our team performance. Everybody did their job. The forwards took the ball up, the backs played around with it, and our defence was really good.
You must have been delighted with the attitude of the players at the start of the game, because they seemed particularly determined.
Well, they were. I think they realised that the Saints game at home we didn't do so well. Then we went back to Saints and played very well, and I think they picked up off that.
Martin Afire scoring tries, Fran Obotica kicking goals, a dry pitch, a sunny afternoon. It all went for you.
Oh, that's right. When I woke up this morning and seen the sun shining, I was quite pleased, because I knew that the pitch would be reasonable if it had been rolled. And when we got here, the pitch had been rolled, and it looked real good, and the players played accordingly.
Quarter-final draw to come tomorrow, of course. Who do you fancy?
I'm not bothered. If we get a home draw, I'll be very pleased.
Let's hope you get it. Thanks very much indeed, Graham.
Thanks, Jack.
Well, Henry, a marvellous performance. How difficult was it?
It was a lot difficult because of the conditions. I mean, they said that on Thursday night it was a lot wetter than what we thought it would be. But today it was quite hard and quite fast, so it was good for us. But we had the sun in our eyes a lot in the second half, so I think a lot of things slowed down because of the sun. The first half we threw it around a lot. We used the ball. We played with a lot of support. We played well, and we really, I think, we killed off Batley's chance in the first half.
Well, St Helens came here a few weeks ago and they were held to a draw. Was that in the players' minds leading up to kick-off?
For sure. Always it was, depends how the pitch is. You know, a lot of times we shouldn't really have been thinking of the pitch. We were really just thinking how we're going to play, you know, get composed and focused. But a lot in the back of the guys' minds, when we saw the tapes of how the weather played an influential part in Batley keeping St Helens to a draw, you know, that was always in the back of our minds. But today it was totally opposite. It was hard and fast, and we used the ball and we played hard and fast and came up with a lot of points.
2 games from Wembley.
Yeah, for me personally, you know, I definitely want to get to Wembley because it's been it'll be a great sort of icing on the cake for the end of the season. So, you know, all things going as well as they can go, just got to keep playing well.
And your particular form seems to be coming on and on. You seem to have stepped on the gas, particularly in the last few weeks. Any particular reason for that?
I think it's just because of the competition. Because of the competition at the club, you know, you've got to be playing very well week in, week out, or else Westy will have no hesitation in bringing someone in for you.
And full back this afternoon for you, but you have played at standoff. You've filled in the centre position. Where would you prefer to play?
I prefer to play anywhere on the pitch except for prop. You know, they go for a lot of hard work, so you know, I'll just keep wherever I go. You know, I'll just keep hopefully playing well and doing my best.
Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
So goodbye from everybody here at Mount Pleasant. A marvellous victory for Wigan, and the score, I think, says it all.
We go!